Political and legal institutions struggle to keep up with changes in technology. A really good example of this is when Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, was called to a congressional hearing where members of Congress were going to ask him a series of questions about technology, how Facebook works, the platform, its profit model, and so on. What was really sad and really funny in a completely ironic way was how little the senators actually understood how online technology works. From a political and legal perspective, we also have to think about privacy law in relation to social media and online security of personal as well as company information. In the real physical world, privacy law is really strong, especially in Australia, and the legality behind information and data is pretty well defined. But the online world, it gets really fuzzy, unfortunately. So something definitely to look into. There's been major economic changes in the past decade. For example, the global financial crisis and downturn, changing oil prices and production capacity, shrinking labor markets in developed economies, shift of production to developing economies, and of course, civil unrest as well as military conflict. Now, the global financial crisis and downturn, we're probably at the beginning of the next global financial crisis right now, of course, aided by COVID-19. The last time this happened, we saw some really interesting things. For example, a lot of new businesses and new opportunities and new ideas came out the other end of this. However, it took the entire world to be shaken, unfortunately, for this to happen. Changing oil prices became really high not too long ago. And last year, we saw record low. But of course, as production capacity dropped, this has led to industries rethinking, do we need as much oil as we once did? The shrinking labor market in developed economies, so countries like Australia, has been really interesting because it's meant that we have had to open our borders to skilled migrants and temporary visa holders in order to improve or boost our economic capabilities. There's also been a shift of production to developing countries. So in developed countries, countries like Australia, countries like Germany, there's been less and less emphasis on production or manufacturing, as these kind of jobs have now moved more so towards developing countries such as India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or Southeast Asia like Vietnam. Civil unrest and military conflict is really unfortunate, and it does have not only an economic cost but also a human cost. But all these things have led us to think of better ways of doing what it is that we must do in the world of marketing, as in creating products, as in communicating an idea or a philosophy and getting it across to as many people as possible, not only from a cost perspective, but also from a sustainability perspective. Think about it. Do we really need to make more, or can we make things better? So you need less. Either way, that's something to think about. The last decade has seen significant social cultural changes, in particular with issues such as energy conservation, renewable energy use, global climate change, sustainable consumption as well as production, an aging population that works more and earns more, fair trade and sustainability markets, increased concentrations of population, as in more people living in the cities and moving out of rural areas, as well as reduction in family size, as in people having less children and smaller families in general. Now, if you look at all these factors and think to yourself, how do these issues of social cultural environment impact upon marketing practices? Well, the products of today and definitely going into the future, they must demonstrate environmental sustainability in packaging, design, production, as well as material. The demand for environmentally sustainably energy products, such as cars, they tend to go up every year. Tesla's a great example of this. Following their lead, Hyundai came up with Kona Electric. Nissan, prior to that, had their Nissan Leaf, which was electric. And in the coming years, we're going to see many more. Another consideration for the future that we gotta pretty much solve sooner rather than later, as in today, the legal implications of AI, as in artificial intelligence. This will include liability, as in who's at fault or who pays for mistakes, intellectual property, if AI creates something or finds something, who owns it, competition, as well as antitrust issues. It was not too long ago, Elon Musk talked about AI as an artificial intelligence and how little even the tech experts are able to comprehend its full capability. And in particular, if we don't set the ground rules today, what implications it could have for the future. For me, I like to look at it more positively in the sense every boring or even complicated, boring mathematical equation, if we can get a computer to do it and potentially solve it for us, that leaves us as in humans the ability to use our imaginations to come up with more creative solutions and thereby allowing for greater change. A good example of this is Google as well as Amazon and Microsoft using their AI technology to partner with oil industry to find more efficient methods of finding oil for cheaper and reducing production cost, as well as optimizing output, which is a good thing. In the world of marketing, in particular products, right, as in creation of products, in today's world, products are becoming easier to use and easier to apply than ever before. And this is a really important feature. Think about it, right? You want to go and upgrade something. Maybe it's a piece of technology. Does it work with what we currently have? In which case, great. If it doesn't, frustration. So there is a push towards that as well as demand for health-related and leisure products. As we become wealthier or disposable income increases, we have a greater yearning for leisure products. And as we get older, health-related products. There's also changes in how consumers respond to advertising messages. For example, back in the old days, mass media, mass advertising, it worked quite well. The idea was let the people, let the market know what's available. But in today's world, we like things to be a lot more personalized, as in, what's in it for me? I, as a consumer, I want to be a bit more special in that case, and marketing has had to adapt. Think about how targeted advertisement works with you and your life. For example, you're searching for yoga mats on Google. Next thing you know, adverts for yoga mats, yoga instruction, yoga videos, all of a sudden start to appear. This is an example of how organizations have had to become more tech savvy and through technology place advertisement which are more appropriate for their consumer base. And lastly, and probably the most important aspect, there's also been an increase in multiculturalism with technology, as in ethnic cultures are no longer isolated but celebrated. If you look at the modern face of Australia, we are very multicultural. If you look at the modern face of the globe today, power no longer lies with a handful of countries, it's with quite a few countries. So things are really changing, and technology is the vehicle which allows us to get there. Technologies such as the internet, mobile phone, social media, and customer relationship management systems all affect how companies communicate with customers, their suppliers, their employees, and also how people communicate with each other socially. Have you guys ever gone onto a website and the little chat box opens up, goes, "Hi, how can I help you today?" Did you know a lot of times that's not a real human, it's a chat box. So chat box is designed to replicate a human conversation, and once it finds out either roughly what you're looking for, it'll direct you towards someone who can then help you further. But that's an example of technology being integrated with a product offering in today's world.